Morning, Pasqua. MC, buenos dias. Gian, how are you? Aman, morning. Weekend was fantastic. Got to hang with a little bit of family yesterday. Got to eat some good food. Hey, King, how are you? Dave, morning. Yeah, yesterday was great. Today's an easy day. You know why today's easy? Because you don't have to try and guess bottom. Let your names work that you already own. Track relative strength. You don't trade relative strength on a day like today. Market has been needing this pullback, a bit of a failed breakout in Bitcoin overnight. I saw quite the chit chat on socials and even in the Discord. Bitcoin's breaking out, and they just slam it right back down inside the range. Now, it doesn't look bad, still just consolidating, but failed moves. This is how they start. Or, they try to break out and then they fail. From failed breakouts, come fast moves. So nothing really to do today. If you guys did your job properly, you guys should own some longs. I know I do. I have longs in CLS. I have longs in CrowdStrike. I have longs in KGC. I've got a long in Netflix, TMDX, Toast, Tesla, Uber. Shorts in Rigetti and GRRR, and the XLV ETF is acting super weak. I'll probably repeat this again a couple times, but the reality of the situation is there is not a ton to do. Yeah, well, I shorted GRR at 23 back on April 2nd, so it's just given me no reason to cover. It's just been chopping sideways for a long while. I'm personally ready for this thing to go lower too. It's just been doing nothing. So keep an eye on this thing. If the market rolls over, this one looks like a perfect candidate, to that gets short under 16. But it's just a little thin for me right now at this point. Right, it was trading way more volume on higher price, and then almost 100 million bucks in here more. Right? So it's much more liquid when I was shorting it. Now volume's kind of dried up. I can't really add to the damn thing, which sucks, but it does look like it'll go lower. We'll see what these names like Oddity look like, or not Oddity, sorry, Oklo, and see if this kind of turns into a little failed breakout of this left side peak. Again, it's everything right now is market dependent, because when the market was ripping higher, everything was going higher. My thoughts on QBTS and pre-market? Yeah, I feel like these things are just being squeezed. These aren't, like, QUBT is not a good company. QBTS is full fantasy, but that's not to say they can't go higher. I mean, look at this insane move, right? You talk about how crappy a company is so much, and then, it just ends up squeezing you out. So, if you're short, you're short, but I want to short what has relative weakness if I'm going to short. So, like, if I'm ever looking, this is a good example, King. So could QBTS go higher? Absolutely. But if I'm going to short something in the same group, I want to short something that's showing relative weakness. So while QBTS just saw a new high, right? I mean, literally just saw a new high at basically 6 o'clock in the morning, right? And then on the flip side of that, IONQ is a gap down, right? This thing closes at 35 bucks and we're at 33 and a half, and we're closer to Friday's lows than we are to Friday's highs. What can I tell you? It looks pretty bad. So, yeah, if you ever want to short something, don't go picking on the strong one. And on the flip side of that, if you want to long something, you would rather be long the stronger one, which would be QBTS. I don't know that I need, Kenny, great question. If this is a much needed pullback, how do I approach to, yep. How do you approach to work your way in on weakness? So I don't buy weakness. I just don't do it. I short stocks that have been showing relative weakness. But for instance, Hood has been such a powerhouse. This thing just needs to go sideways, right? I want to find myself long Hood, right? I want to end up buying Hood. So this isn't a stock that I want to short. I just need these ascending moving averages because all of its moving averages are ascending. And I need it to just tighten up against an ascending moving average. An ascending 20, I want to see the 50 catch up. I want to see like some high type flag. I think this is a really, really good moment for people to go back and study Bill O'Neill 3-week tights, like 3-week tight pattern, right? 3-week tight would be super ideal for names like Hood, names like Rubric, names like Zscaler, right? Names like SE, right? I think that would be the most healthy thing that could happen, right? A little bit longer would be even better, right? I'm not saying that they won't fail after that, but GEV right here was a great example, right? This thing just made this awesome move, which is almost a resemblance of what we've gotten recently, where stocks just go vertical like SE, where they just go vertical, right? GEV was even a little bit more powerful at that time. And then they go sideways for a little while, right? This would be, see what it did here? Beautiful. That's what I'm looking for in Hood, even at Palantir, HIMS, SE, Zscaler, Rubric, Okta. I mean, you name it. Even in NVIDIA, right? Maybe not that long because the move that GEV made was that much more powerful. But, when you look at these things that just come right off the bottom, right up the right-hand side, now they don't need 5 weeks, 7 weeks like GEV because of the move GEV made. These need 3, in my opinion. I think just chop people up for a few weeks, go sideways, build a brand new range, give us high type flag, give us a little flat base breakout. And I think that could look really good. But, when you think about the names during this period that have been acting best, right? So the market's not at a new all-time high yet, but you have stocks that are. Those are leaders, right? Why are they at all-time highs when the market's not? Well, they're getting bought the shit out of by institutions. So think about stocks like Palantir, think about a stock like Uber, think about a stock like SE, even think about a stock like Carvana, Zscaler, 52-week high. Like 52-week highs is not a bearish thing. It's very bullish. So, I am focused on stocks that have recently made 52-week highs, and we'll kind of see what the market wants to do from there once some of these stocks tighten up. And I do like that, solars are trying to come back to life and get back up above the 200. I do like that semiconductors are coming back up above the 200. Names like KLAC, ASML, LRCX, right? Like you could just look at some of these names. LRCX back above the 200, right? ASML back above the 200. KLAC back above the 200. AVGO is the leader in the sector, along with NVIDIA, both back above the 200. So this is exactly what we want to see. A-Lab, trying to work its way back above the 200, and it is. CRDO, this is exactly the sort of action we want to see. So, I saw a lot of people on Friday just kind of saying, oh, Monday, things could be viable. And yeah, maybe, but then you don't know what Tuesday brings. You don't know what Wednesday brings. The reality is that if you didn't get yourself involved in the last 6 weeks, right, you have like no real longs, right? Like for me, in January, February, and even March, I had 7 shorts. Now I've got 8 longs and 2 shorts. So, that's just kind of how it ends up working. When the market's really, when the market's coming down, you want to start to track relative strength. when the market's going up and up and up, like it was November and into December, early December, and then starts to give you distribution, you want to start to say, what are the weakest things? And semiconductors, for instance, made that list. And so again, you start to use progressive exposure on the long side of the market, 6 weeks ago, and then you start to get some traction in Netflix, and then some Palantir, and then some Uber, and then some Hood, and some CrowdStrike, and on and on and on, right? And then gap ups in Oddity and Sezzle and Dave. And once you understand your setups, you find yourself in these names. And then, you trim some off into strength. And then now it's just a matter of sitting in your winners and doing nothing with them and just letting them work. And if they work, great. If they don't, you should start to see if you can get yourself positioned on the short side. If the market's going to start to reward the short side and you use progressive exposure to get your account more and more short, that's how I operate. So do I think about AVGO close to its 10-day? Like, would I buy it at 216 is what you're asking? I'm not just going to buy today's weakness. I'm going to just track what's holding up best when the market's pulling back, and then what's acting worse. Like today is you just watch the market day. Today does not have to be a day that we trade the market day. All right, everybody just wants to trade the market. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Not every day is a day to make money. Am I trading UNH? Nope. No. I mean, there was certainly a capitulation trade. I was watching it like 255, but I didn't take it. Right? I want a swing trade. And I don't just buy stocks because they quote unquote have gotten cheaper, have gone down. Right? I'm focused on momentum. I focus on stocks and leading groups. I focus on clean technical setups. I understand. After the market open, what does my process look like? Well, right in front of me on the screen, you guys aren't seeing, I've got stocks that I'm potentially ready to execute on. So, and I've got my order boxes, my order entry filled. And yeah, that's how I'm basically ready to execute on charts that look ready to go. But again, the issue right now is there's not a lot of charts that are ready to go. See if I can give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. So see if I can pull this up. Can I? I'm going to, I can't. Yeah, maybe later. I don't know if I can, I was going to try and show you guys my other screen. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is what one of my monitors look like. right? So this is what you guys aren't seeing. Right. So what I'll have is once the market's open, I'll have the 4 stocks that I think to be most actionable. And then again, what you guys still aren't seeing is on my left and on my right, I've got 2 big monitors where I've got, 20 charts, basically 10 on my left, 10 on my right, stocks that I think to be moving the market, stocks that I think that need a little bit more sideways that are kind of on my actionable list. Names that I'm interested in, right? The Palantirs, the Hoods, the Coins, the MSTRs, etc. And then right above me, what you guys aren't seeing is I've got the futures market that's right above me. So I'm looking at, gold futures. I'm looking at the ES, the NQ, Bitcoin, crude oil. I'm looking at the VIX. I'm looking at small caps. I'm looking at yields, right? Things that matter to me, maybe not to everybody else. Yes, I execute on gas and I execute through E-Trade. So, and so I'm just ready to go with my order entries and my hotkeys are already ready to go. So if I have to execute, I'm ready to go. But again, it's never really a rush for me. So never really in any kind of a hurry. And I'm watching smaller. So I know what the dailies look like. So my alerts are set on the charts in front of my screen. And then really I'm just focusing on scanning the market. So that's pretty much it. So once the market opens, I'm ready to rock and roll. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not just, I know some people think I'm just staring at one chart, but the reality is you guys aren't seeing the 30 other charts that I'm looking at simultaneously. So, I know some people think you don't need it. I agree. But for me, I like to get a feel for what the market's doing. And that's how I time my entries a whole lot better, right? So there are some days where I'm just tracking relative strength. I'm not trading relative strength. And so, seeing the futures markets, seeing inter-asset correlations in real time, seeing stock like market movers, in one peripheral and just a little tilt of the head, and then seeing the names that I'm interested over here, and then having on another monitor all of the news that I think to be important that's coming in. So yeah. E-Trade, Centerpoint. My fiance has Thinkorswim. So pretty much got them all. We've got Vanguard. We've got them all. We could execute pretty much anywhere, it seems like, at these nowadays. But yeah, we've got 3 brokers in the house. As a person who works full-time, is it best to set stop limit orders prior to market open? Maybe some questions for full-time workers on this chat. Yeah, so I actually, like in the room, I've got doctors in there. I've got full-time workers in there. I've got truck drivers in there. The reality is you only need, the first 30 minutes of your morning to execute. Now, stop limit orders are totally fine. But obviously, if you can be at your screens for the first 30 minutes of the day and then set up like your stop limit loss order, effectively like a stop at low of day, even better. But I mean, yeah, you don't even have to be present. Just know what stocks you want to trade the day prior. For instance, like stocks that I might go over on the watch list, set your limit order. Now, the thing is you're going to deal with a little bit more chop because maybe a stock breaks out, flushes back out to low of day, and then reclaims yesterday's high of day. And then you're not able to be there in real time to take that. But if you're just like being really, really patient for a healthy market, it's totally doable. I know people who trade, like I said, they're doctors and they're in the room, and they have, 30% or 25% plus a month. So you just have to execute when the market's strengthening, and you need to make sure that you're in the right stocks, and using that strategy completely works. Just set a stop, buy order effectively over prior day high on charts that you understand, and then, you're done with it. You're swinging archer. It depends where you're swinging archer from, King. If you're in at $9, like some of the guys in the room are, then you're just hanging out. Let it work. Right? You should have peeled some off into strength, right? Anywhere between 3 to 5 days, and you peel some off into strength. If you bought like 960s and the thing goes up almost 50% in 4 days, you better have sold half, right? I mean, if you didn't, then you're just like, you're asking for a unicorn to come drop off money or something. It's like you just got paid. So you take half off the table and you just let the rest work. Trim some more using the ascending 5-day and keep the rest on the ascending 10. Yeah, Archer $9 was a super clear setup. Yeah. Okay, so you bought it at 9s. So if you bought it in the 960s, you should have trimmed some on Friday. You should have, for sure. If you didn't, you're just getting greedy. Right? A 50% move in 4 days, if it were me, I would be out 60%. I mean, this thing moves 8% per day, and it was up 63, 64% on Friday. So it was 8 times its average daily range above the 50, right? I would have been out, trimmed half on the breakout, and then I would have trimmed another, 20% of what I have left on Friday. Right? And if you did that, your job's done. You did great work. Let it work. Let the rest work. Get paid. You don't know that this thing doesn't go to 20. Right? I mean, yeah, a lot of these charts are just up and to the right. And then I know a lot of people were mentioning Reddit to me. Guys, okay, look, for just a quick second, like thought experiment. Look at what the market's been doing, and then look at what GEV looks like, right? Look at what Carvana looks like. Look at what SE looks like. Look at what Rubric looks like, right? And then there are people out there like, Ariel, what do you think of Reddit? It's like, you got to be shitting me, right? You got to be shitting me. You mean the market was just absolutely ripping, and this is the stock you want to mention? Right? No, I'm not picking on any one individual because I heard it from like 10 people. Clement, how are you, brother? Good morning. But, this is the kind of stuff this is the kind of mistakes that people make, right? And now all of a sudden Reddit's down $8 overnight, right? And it's like literally going to make even new lows right now. So it's like, again, just this very simple thought experiment. You want to own the strongest. You want to ditch the weakest. The reality, and I've said it a million times, is you only need 6 to 10 names to stuff a full portfolio and be on margin, right? So it's like, you see a Netflix, vertical. You see an SE, vertical. You see Palantir, vertical. You see Rubric, vertical. You see Hood, vertical. And then all of a sudden you like Reddit and you're like, oh, Ariel, what do you think about Reddit? It's like, huh? What do I think about Reddit? Don't waste your fucking life, right? Like, don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. Don't waste your brain power. Don't waste nothing, right? The best names have shown and tipped their hand already. Those names need to go sideways. If you're buying Reddit, it's because you think it needs to play catch up. And then, really you're owning a laggard. Do you really want to own a piece of crap in your portfolio? No. The best stocks go up when the market's going up, and they go up more. And then when the market's pulling back, they go down less. And their relative strength line begins to increase, right? Reddit, the market's been going up and Reddit's been going sideways. This relative strength line is actually going down, right? And so all of a sudden the market has a little blip lower, right? The market goes down 1.3% or even a percent if you're talking about the S&P 500 overnight, and Reddit's down 7.5%. You'd be driving yourself insane if you tried buying this thing. I heard a lot of people on Wednesday like, oh, there goes Reddit. It's getting above the 200. And then to which I told the group, guys, let it set up above the 200, right? This isn't some special company, some special stock, some special anything. Let it set up above the 200, right? And to which I tell people all the time, you need to go back and you need to study AMR. You need to go back and study stocks like DAC or NVIDIA or any stock that's ever cleared its 200 and then went on a really nice run, right? They set up above the 200. So BRB20. This wasn't you who asked me about Reddit, was it? If it is, I apologize. I'm not picking on you, man, individually. If it was, well, then damn. Lessons to be learned. No, I'm kidding, BRB. Yeah, I don't know if it was you. My brain doesn't work that well. Got a hell of a memory for ticker symbols, but not about who asked the questions. Thoughts on SoFi? It doesn't have a ton of overhead. I mean, 30%. It's like a middle of the pack kind of stock to me, right? It's middle of the pack. And what do I mean by that? I mean that in the sense that it like could go, it could work. But you, like I said before, you only need, 6 to 10 stocks to fully fill a portfolio. Like, does Hood make the cut? SoFi make the cut? Maybe, right? It's got this little neckline here that it's going to have to clear, call it $15 almost at this point, like almost good above 15, bad below 15. And then you see this like earnings day where it had earnings and then it just completely sold off. You really want to take out that level, right? 1450, and you want it to stay above 1450, right? Think about Hood, right? You see how Hood back here had this earnings date and then had a big sell-off day, right? 1530 was the level I wanted this thing to clear. Once it cleared 1530, it was off to the races, right? So same thing with SoFi. If SoFi is going to work, it needs to take out that earnings high that had big volume, 1450. Over 1450, good. Below 1450, not so good. BRB, good. I'm glad that wasn't you, man. What's my thought process on setting alerts? Once the alert is hit, what are you thinking and how are you reacting? That's a great question. So once an alert hits, I'm normally asking myself in that moment, is there volume coming into this stock? Is the market in an uptrend? Sometimes I just set a bunch of alerts. What group is this stock in, right? Is this thing like just in and out? Like, for instance, total hypothetical, I'm looking at a semiconductor and that alert hits, but let's just say that I'm looking at like A-Lab or something like that. And then all of a sudden I'm looking, A-Lab's hitting the alert, but NVIDIA's not acting the best. AVGO's not acting the best, because sometimes alerts, it's a nice little tight chart pattern and it hits the alert and then it starts to maybe pull back after 15 minutes of the market open. But NVIDIA's pulling back, AVGO is pulling back, TSM is pulling back, CRDO is pulling back. Like, my mind goes, okay, well, my alert on A-Lab just hit, but if everything else in the group's not acting so well, it's probably best I do nothing here, right? Like, ignore the alert, reset the alert at highs, and if it continues to act well while other semis are, kind of selling off, then I know that one really wants to go higher. Meaning, if NVIDIA is selling off and TSM is selling off and AVGO is selling off, but A-Lab just continues to go sideways, right? The minute that the market maybe starts to go up and semiconductors begin to turn up as a group, A-Lab's the one I want to buy. Yeah, Julian Lucas. Yeah, perfect thinking. Yeah, so no more than 4 times ATR from the 50. So if a stock moves, 3% or 4%, call it, then you don't want to be buying a stock more than 16% above its 50 simple moving average. So great way to look at it. Jeff Sun gave an awesome explanation on this before. So 10-year looks like it's going to break out too, man. If the 10-year gets over 4.8, I can't imagine the market would be doing too good, in my opinion, there in that scenario. We'll see. We shall see. This looks like a super weekly base. Thoughts on CoreWeave? Yeah, it's super extended. Yeah, and no, it's not maybe extended, King. It is super extended. Right? Very, very extended. And they have an offering going on right now. So this is very extended. Do nothing. This thing just went from 30s to this thing just went up 150% in 3 weeks. Right? Do nothing. Let it give you an actual setup. If it wants to go higher, cool. Let it go higher without you, but don't risk your money. Right? Like even I own Uber, right? I want Uber to go sideways. What are my top 3 entry tactics? Ooh. High volume close. Flat base breakout. Undercut and rally. So those are my 3 favorite daily entry setups. So you get a gap up on earnings. You get a high volume close. Over the high volume close, good. Below the high volume close, bad. Flat base breakouts because everybody and their mother can see them. So it's good above the horizontal line, bad below, and an undercut and rally in stocks that are in uptrends. Undercuts a prior left side low and then starts to reclaim it. Absolutely perfect. So Aman, great question. Yeah, I'll repeat them. Top 3 entry tactics. High volume close, flat base breakout, undercut and rally. You don't even need any other 3 setups in your playbook, to be honest with you. AEVA, another 10% in pre-market. It's probably getting to be a good short soon. Yes, probably going to make a great short soon. No, with the undercut and rally, I'm not looking at inside days or double inside days. I'm literally just looking a break of prior left side low and a reclaim. So good examples, Hood, right? 35.23, right? Good spot. And then Netflix was one I was talking about when it was going on, 8.54. I gave this out as a setup in the room. And then, I didn't buy it till 2019. So just because I like the setup, sometimes I don't always take them either. Right. But there you go. And then, a lot of these stocks gave the same kind of thing. This one was a little bit weaker, but it gave it Palantir, same deal. Right. Undercut a left side low, reclaim, and then, a little bull flag, and then a little flat base. Gabo, sometimes just the same day's low that I buy it, right? So like Oddity's a really nice example. So gave a high volume close 61.44. And then if you bought it, let me see if I can go back far enough. 30-minute. Right? If you bought it even through the high volume close, your low of day wouldn't have gotten hit even on this pullback. So just the low of day of the day that you buy it. Yeah, so Edward, very simple. When a stock, makes a huge move like this, over a important level, and for Oddity, it was the $50 base breakout, right? This is a huge base. And then all of a sudden, look at the high volume that came in on this thing, right? Like the largest volume ever for this thing. So then effectively you look at the close and you say to yourself, good above the close, bad below. So you've got Oddity. You had names like Sezzle, right? You had the same kind of setup right here. right? Over 74.98, so call it over 75 bucks. Come in on day 2 and you're buying it right at the open. You had names like Dave, same thing, right? 115.73, same deal. You're effectively buying it on day 2, probably on something like a 5-minute opening range break. So yeah, and again, this was just a big base as well. Breaking out of a big base, gapping up out of a big base. You're welcome. Can I look at ROP? Sure I can. Super slow. Leave it alone. This thing had like one nice setup in here. Yeah, leave it alone. Moves 2% per day. Right? It's going to take you forever to move the portfolio with this turtle. Like, think about it like this. This thing had this big washout and this pretty big bounce back. It moved 12%, 12, 13%. In the same time that Palantir moved 100. Right, BRB? Just too damn slow. App may have potential. Yeah, just needs a cleaner setup. Right, bounced off the 200, reclaiming all moving averages. Yeah. I would just like to see it tighten up, finish building out the right-hand side of the base. Right, this thing's up, 60% in 3 weeks. Just needs to build out the right-hand side of the base is all. Yeah, Kurt, low of day. Low of day. Almost low of day on all the entries that I take. I'm not sure what that means. Does Sailor seem like it's finally... Oh, does Solar... I read Sailor. Does Solar seem like it's finally going to have its day in the sun? I see what you did there. FSLR looked like it tried to reclaim the 200, but it's lost it again. We're back down at 170. Sedge is so beaten up, but, needs to just tighten up and set up above the 200. Run is one that caught my attention. Just needs to finish setting up above the 200, but we're back below it. So they need to just set up above the 200. Yeah, NRG had a high volume close as well. Yes, it did. What do I think of EAT? I like the base on EAT. It just needs a little bit longer, right? This was a massive move. Massive. I thought it was really, really nice right in here. Right? Like this was super nice. Yeah, it just needs a little bit longer of a base. I mean, who doesn't like Chili's? I don't go to Chili's, but I've been to Chili's. What 1 ADR do I look for? You're going to have to ask that again one more time, BRB. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. As a former day trader, do I take into account the spread of a stock? Let's say you want a $1 stock, but the spread is 50 cents. Do you look to buy? If the stock is expensive enough, a 50-cent spread doesn't bother me, but I really don't like 50-cent spreads. The tighter, the better. The tighter, the more liquid usually. So I try to make sure, one, that I'm trading sufficiently liquid stocks for my account. I think that's important to think about. So yeah, I do think about spreads, because you don't want to be dealing with nasty spreads when you're getting in and out. Oh, 2 people mentioning NXT. Yeah, NXT was one that saw an all-time high. Very impressive stuff. I saw it during my scan. But, is this just a double top short sale? Could be. Not sure. But if it's going to go higher, it's going to need to tighten here. You're welcome, King. Happy to help, brother. Yeah, NXT's been showing some really nice relative strength. Just needs to go sideways a little longer is all. All right, if it's going to be buyable, that's what it needs. Some people love these downtrend breaks. I mean, that's actually a pretty clean one right there. And back above the 200. Very nice. I mean, it's a pretty big move too. 50%. God bless. Yeah, NRG, man. What a monster. Just needs some sideways. Just needs a little bit more sideways. I can't buy it here, unfortunately. Market's coming down here. What's going on? China issues statement on U.S. adjusting chip export controls. Not sure. How do I distinguish a leading chart at all-time highs versus double top short sale? Well, a couple things. One, what group is it actually in? And
U.S. undermines concerns reached in Geneva talks. China asks U.S. to correct wrongdoings.
Oh, here we go. That's funny. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, how do I distinguish a leading chart versus a double top short sale? One, did it break out when the market was just coming out of a correction? If so, it's got much more power from the market behind it. And then two, is it a laggard, like a stock that finally took off after the market's been in a nice little uptrend for a few weeks? So that's number one. What group is it in? And then two, you don't really know, right, until after the fact. So if you're in it and you're long, that's one thing, let it work. And then two, if you're not in it and you do take the short, right, you're like looking at that level as a key level, and then you're looking for a 620 setup on the 5 minute, and then you're done with it. And then you're going from there to determine, if it's going to give you a multi-day fade. Are you aligning yourself with the market that's coming down, right? The other little factors are much more important to kind of gain some traction on your stock. So it's cold in my office, man. What the hell's going on? I think we got the AC pumping too. Jeez. Wearing shorts. Did I watch people with just chart talks? Nope. But him and I talk like every single day of our lives. So I don't know exactly what he said, but I'm pretty familiar with about everything he would say because we talk every day of our lives. I'm losing my voice a little bit right now, so I hope I'm good. But no, man, I just keep going. I'm like the Energizer Bunny when it comes to talking about stocks, man. When you're as passionate about it as I am, it's easy to talk about. Yeah, you know what it is, man? We just him and I talk a lot. We share a lot of ideas together. We literally go back and forth on markets for every day. So eat privately, either in his Discord or mine, and we go back and forth privately a lot. So yeah, he's also one of my best friends. So we talk a lot, and he's a very talented trader. So it's good to pick his brain. He likes to do the same, and he's super bright. Guys, I got a few more minutes, then I got to go set up in the room. And thank you guys a ton for being here. I mean, 2,200 people on a Monday. I didn't even know that I knew that many people. I didn't even know I knew that many. Was asking if you screen for a stock based on a certain percentage above daily range or one standard deviation. No, I don't. I don't think about that stuff. If it showed an increase in volume, so like a pickup in relative volume versus, like its 20-day average, I have a scanner that picks that up. And so I'll know if a stock had like abnormal volume, and normally abnormal volume leads to abnormal moves. So I'll know about that. And then, then I just scan the market, man. When I'm not trading, which is like 95% of my day, I'm just like letting my stocks work. I'm clicking through charts like a madman, right? I've got a bunch of scans that I go through. I look at charts effectively all day long. What's my take on the last 2 weeks of price action in crude oil and the movement in XOP? So one, CL needs to get above 65, right? If you looked at this highlighted level that I've got here, crude oil had a really nice level of support, call it right at $65, and it lost it. And then now it's just consolidating underneath the level of resistance. So, or what was prior support, and now is acting like resistance. So CL, crude oil, needs to get back above 65, and XOP looks like it's trying to reclaim. No real opinions, right? This isn't where leading charts are at right now, right? This thing is just still going sideways. Is this a failed breakout? Do we get back up above the 200 on the weekly? And then do I start to see stocks within the XOP going higher? So let me see. Oil and gas exploration products. So we've got names like this one's been acting really well, actually. This is your leader in the whole sector. EXE, right? This is 100% your leader. CNX. Here's your leader number 2, EQT, new all-time high recently. MPC, is that Marathon? Yeah, okay, it's acting better. Nice to see. XOM, nothing special there. Dino, this one was a leader a while back, but yeah, just trying to get back above the 200. AR, another one that's been acting good. But AR and EQT are also nat gas names. So, when you look at those and you look at the NG, right? This one's not been doing too much, but, this it looks like EQT is moving for other reasons, oil and gas exploration probably. So TPL had a really big setup. TPL had a super, it's just, also trades with a wide spread because it's a $1,400 stock, but this thing looks like it's ready to go higher too. Yeah, LB was on my watch list last night. I talked about it. Looks really great, over 85.30, but, we'll see. Yeah, WMB. CRK is right. Another one. That's right. EQT was another one. Yeah, look at this thing. Gorgeous. And then EQT. Yeah, nice to see CRK going. And then Artello. AR. Yeah, some of these names look good. I mean, they could definitely be ready to get going. BBAR has really crappy earnings. I looked at this one already, but nice chart. Little bit of a kind of like a super small bull flag here. Right? Like a small little bull flag. It looks like it could go potentially. I like GGAL the best, actually, Victor. GGAL. They have good earnings, and this thing is super, super tight. BMA is the bank. Yeah, BMA looks just like GGAL. And let me check something really quick. Yeah, GGAL and BMA, you want to take a guess as to why they look identical? Same exact route. All right, guys. Thank you guys a ton for being here. I will see you guys in 23 hours, God willing, tomorrow morning. Come with your questions, please, or just thank you in general for being here. And it's time for me to go get prepped for the room. Any other questions, you guys know where to reach me. I'm always around on X, and I will always be here in the mornings. Thank you, Mississippi Trader. Thank you, Prath. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, guys. And I will see you guys bright and early